of you that don't know me, my name's Natalie Furness. I'm one of the co-founders of Women in Tech Revolution. And as Susan said, we started this project up based on the fact that we were the only two female speakers at an event. Not only were the only two female speakers, we were actually the only two women at the event, full stop. And we were like, what is going on here? So we sort of went out and made it our mission to chat to every woman in the room. I just kind of asked them, do you want to come along and talk about tech? And they're like, yeah, I do. And we asked person after person, and all of a sudden, here we are in a room of sort of 70, 80 people, everyone wanting to learn and talk about tech. So the women are out there, we just need to support each other in reaching our goals. So if you are interested in joining our online community, we do have a Slack community which is private. Please let us know if you're interested in that, and I'll give you some more details. But without further ado, we shall start questions for our speakers. So I'm going to go straight to the audience today. So who's got a question for one of our ladies? Sure, someone has a question. Over here. Oh, ladies first.
Sorry, I think, how do you think that attitudes...
So this is a question for Lydia, is that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Attitudes affect, for example, when you were saying girls go into computer science and they find out they are obviously last to the party and the guys already know everything and you are just sitting there and thinking what I'm doing here. So how is this attitude affecting the way we can achieve our goals? It's like if I go in computer science, which I've done, I want to study it and I'm there for a genuine interest, but you do feel put down all the time and looked down and treated differently and sometimes treated like you're an idiot. And how can we, I think we need to really turn around and say, look, this space is also for me, and just bug off and stop being the person you are, because this is not acceptable. But I think also we need to put away our fears, like, am I gonna be laughed at, or am I not gonna be good enough? Just go and do it, just do what you want. And I was wondering, what's your take on what can we do to kind of fix this problem in general, like, you know, this participant and this lack of women in computer science?
It's so complex, and I think I really like your attitude of just, yeah, you have to kind of go in and say, actually, this is what I want to do. I think it's often quite subtle. It's like an assumption on what you're interested in and what you might have knowledge on. I think my personal take is I actually, about a year ago when starting this company, I actually kind of stopped going to Women in Tech meetups because I had been working in kind of startups and things and had been having a bit of a rough time, if I'm entirely honest. And I just found I would go to like Women in Tech meetups and it would all be kind of very empowering and we need to, you know, just go out and do it. And you'd be like, yeah. And then I'd go back and I was like, yeah, but I'm not in the position of power here. And actually I'm experiencing these things. And it just seems like a very self-fulfilling circle. It's like the same people who went to school together are all giving their mates money. And then it means they get their funding, they get their startup. And then because you've got one round, you get the next round. And it's kind of, and there's not really much due diligence being done on the tech. It's just, you know, it's a funny world. And it ends up being kind of self-fulfilling. And I was like, actually, I'm done with kind of having empowering talk at one point and then going back in and finding nothing changes. So I really believe that actually, yeah, it needs to come from like action. And I don't know, I've got a few ideas about this. So one of the things I think is that, like I mentioned, I have plenty of amazing female friends, but lots of them have not been in a kind of a position to go into technology, have not thought it was for them. And so actually a number of my friends end up going into law, and I think it's because there are these kind of conversion courses. They take people who are smart, got good degrees, and then they train them up in law. And I was like, I want to see something similar for tech, for AI, for digital. Actually take smart people who've got good analytical skills, whatever good skills they've got, and actually train them up in digital. And this is the thing, it's like maybe some of them will become actual sort of programmers or developers, but there's a whole bunch of other roles as well where we need more literacy in the tech and things before they're able to take those on. But yeah, I think kind of annoyingly a lot of that needs to come from positions of power. So it's kind of persuading people who have that leverage, I think, to actually make change at scale. So I think, yeah, there's kind of like two scales to it. It's like one, doing stuff that like empowers you personally and just getting on with it. But then there's also actually, if you want to see like change at scale, I do think that needs to come from kind of people in power who care about it and see the need and see the stats on why it affects products.
I was just wondering, do we have another mic? Is there anyone here that can get us on the mic? No. Okay, well, you have to apologise, I'm going to be walking up and down. So I'd like to add to that as well, Lydia, and I think what's really important is that we've started here today. Now, if there are programmes that people think that we need, this is where we start. Yeah, so if you think there is a conversion course that we should be increasing the knowledge of every woman in the room, looking at, getting more technologists out there, we can do that together. And if you want to get involved, please come chat to Susan and I, Lydia, the rest of the team, and we'll make those dreams happen. We just got to do it together. So, next question.
So I'm extremely new to technology and all of these types of things, so excuse me if my questions are a bit ignorant. But firstly, a question for Lydia. So just reading around AI, I've come across the fear that some people may build in unconscious bias into systems. So I think, how much of a threat would that be, and how can we solve those issues, is my first question. And then just a general question for everyone on the panel. What kind of things could I do, for example, as someone who's quite young and, as I said, naive and doesn't really know much? Where do you start with this huge world, which does seem quite intimidating?
Well, before we carry on, I'd like to say that you introduced yourself here today, and actually, sixth form? Yeah? We have an A-level student here with us. Everyone, round of applause. So, we want to bring you up. So I'll hand this over to Lydia.
So first, your question on unconscious bias. I think there's two types of unconscious bias that we're seeing. One is in the product design, so things like Alexa and Google Home are kind of being coded as female. And I think maybe the prime example of that is, I don't know if you remember the Microsoft Tay, the Twitter bot that came out a couple of years ago. So they released this bot, and within kind of 48 hours, she was spewing dreadful, racist kind of stuff. Because essentially, this is the thing about machine learning, it learns from what it's seen. That's what the output is based upon the input. And I think, interestingly, again, that there's some people have commented, it's like, actually, if there was a woman in the room, maybe that design decision wouldn't have been made, because you know that Twitter's not necessarily a safe space for women, and actually people were going to troll. So I think, yeah, design, that's where kind of unconscious bias comes in. But then the second and perhaps more kind of insidious possibility is around going back to that kind of example of the Turkish language and Google Translate. It's actually the bias that's built into our data sets, because obviously data is created by many things, by our kind of, in that example, articles, language, it's just data is things that happen, or behaviours, interactions. So it captures these elements of our culture that are quite hard to sort of describe exactly, and that's where actually unconscious bias can be sort of built in, because it's just reflecting what's the case in society. So there's some interesting, actually, Hannah Fry in her book goes into these around examples in the judicial system where it's giving an algorithm that somebody is using to help make decisions about sentencing, but then in America actually ends up being that longer sentences are given to African American, because actually historically there's just so many factors built into that. But then if that's being used to make decisions that influence the future, it's all kind of reinforcing the stereotypes. So yeah, it's a kind of unconscious bias which is just built into the data. But this is the interesting thing about AI, actually, because the outputs are based upon that data. It's not the algorithm that is biased, it's the data. So yeah, and I think addressing that, maybe it's people who actually are kind of well versed in identifying that bias in data sets and actually thinking, well, if that's the case, how can we weight this system? How can we kind of weight its output to mitigate that, or think ahead to what the implications may be?
And your second question was related to tips we can give to A-level students, college students, breaking into the world of technology.
Yeah. For me, I believe, it really starts with education, and because you're so young and it's the perfect timing, you're already doing something right by being here. I would encourage you to go to more meetups, tech meetups, connect with people, like, women or men, start learning from them. And in terms of choosing, maybe what you want to study at university, I know our clients, they're always looking for developers or whoever they're looking for, but they're always looking for women as well. Like they also want to kind of boost their gender diversity, but they also they have to hire by merit as well. And there's not a lot of female developers in the space because there just isn't enough women studying it. So it could be, you'd be an ideal candidate if you're a developer. It depends on what you want to do, but yeah, the world's your oyster. You can really decide what you want to study and yeah.
I diverge from that. I've been involved in part of a number of blockchain platforms, and one of the things I keep seeing is you've got a group of really, really smart techie guys who've got a really good techie idea and have got the tech totally bang on, really good concept, zero business sense, zero ability to get customers, zero ability to explain what the tech does to anyone else. So no ability to get investors. They don't understand marketing, they don't understand branding, they don't understand PR, they don't understand the need to translate that technology into language that's simple enough for an investor or a mainstream audience or a newspaper or anything to go viral. So I don't see it as a tech so much at all. I can't read code. I have no interest in learning how to read code or into developing or anything at all. I started off investing and did really well. My background was sales and marketing. I was able to read through white papers and read through business plans and basically spot the bullshit, spot what was sales spiel, spot what was a lot of long words designed to cover up something that wasn't really good. So, and I love working in the space, just coming from different angles. So I would say go with what you love. If you love marketing, if you love writing, if you love whatever you love, totally go with that, whilst learning what you can about the tech, because there's so much need to get someone really smart with a different angle of looking at things. And at the moment, it's a lot of tech guys who have zero idea other than the tech. That's fair.
Come on, Eric, you guys do it, right?
There are some exceptions, maybe.
Yeah, one of you guys, come on.
You got anything to add?
Yeah, it was. I think, it's true. Go with what interests you, but I think it's as well breaking beyond the kind of the stereotypes, actually finding that middle ground. So. I think I come across it really drives me mad. Essentially it's the, if you're in tech, essentially tech, there's often this kind of disrespect either side. It's like tech people think business people just do simple stuff, and then business people end up thinking that technologists don't understand what customers could want and that kind of thing. And I think that ends up in quite a dangerous kind of duality. So if you end up in a really kind of a role that is not actually being the developer, that's really great, but I think find the interest in what all the kind of elements are.
Yeah, I think that is really interesting. It's not necessarily related to gender at all. It's related to how you communicate personally as an individual, because we are all quite individual. But I wanted to, before we have our final question, because we all want to network and ask each other things face to face, I do want to give a shout out to all the guys that are here supporting our women on stage. So round of applause. So this is an event for women. This is an event showcasing the talented women that exist in industry. And we appreciate guys coming along and supporting our women on stage, because we need to work together to make a difference in society. So one final question. I'm going to close my eyes and just point in a direction. There we go.
Okay.
Just introduce yourself first.
I'm Nani, so I'm from Malaysia. So I come from a development background, like international development, like country development. So one of the things that the World Bank and the UN are currently doing is looking at how blockchain, crypto, digital wallets, things like this can be used in a development context to develop rural areas, poor communities, and also migrant and refugee camps. So my question is, how, mostly to Samantha, because obviously right now we have a PR question, how do we connect this technology to the people who may not understand anything but a cash-based society? How do we sell it to them that having a digital wallet or crypto is better than having cash in hand? And my second question, or rather a comment, regarding the biases in our data when AI and machine learning. What is the argument for maybe tailoring the data sets that we input into AI to remove it from biases? Do you see that to be a good thing or a bad thing? Because I've seen arguments for and against. Thank you.
Okay, I think with the second question, that's going to be your next presentation next year.
Yes.
But the first question, I'll hand over for Samantha.
Cool. Thank you for your question. I'm in PR while I'm not an expert on basically how to implement it. What I've learned from working with and speaking to the different startups that are trying to apply this technology and help people, like for example in the development space, is first basically focus on what incentivizes them to use it. So I don't think they care whether they use blockchain or whether they just use cash. It's like, will they be able to get this money, tomorrow? Like if they're sending money, say abroad, or they're receiving donations from another country, will they be able to receive it instantly? If they would be able to receive it instantly as more quicker than cash, then maybe they'll use crypto. But to be honest, I don't think it matters to them whether they use blockchain or cryptocurrencies. It's just that now it's like we have to see, is it even better than cash, at this stage? And so, yeah, it's more like how can it really improve their lives in the more raw sense. Yeah.
I just want to add to that very briefly. I was actually at a hackathon a couple of weeks ago looking at solving the voting issues in Nigeria. And we were actually looking at utilising mobile technology, different types of technology, not so much blockchain, but we do have to bear in mind the issues with regards to, one, the unbanked, and two, the people that still don't have access to internet or mobile phone, or just trust any electronic systems, full stop. So whilst we are all here talking about technology and the transformation of society with technology, we don't want to start with trying to boil the ocean. Let's try and make the smallest changes we can for the biggest effect, and let's work together on doing that. So I hope you enjoyed your evening this evening. Please stay, please network, please meet people, please find new jobs, or find new people for your jobs. Although recruiters, not you. Have a nice evening and good night.
Thank you.